Hey, this is Nathan Oxenfeld with Integral Eyesight Improvement. I'm here in Brisbane, Australia. I've just spent the past 2 months traveling through New Zealand, and now I've got 1 month here in Australia. And I'm actually filming this on the first day of January 2019. So it's the first day of a brand new year. And usually around New Year's, I take some time to reflect back on the previous year, as well as look ahead to the upcoming year. So today I wanted to briefly do that with you, and then actually lead you through a vision practice where you do that yourself. Now, normally in my videos and podcasts, I don't usually get too personal, but I'm going to start this one off on a personal note. And I'll be honest when I say that the first half of 2018 was not great. The second half of 2018 was pretty amazing, but the first half was pretty awful. Towards the beginning of the year, I actually went through a breakup. And I've got to say that ending and exiting a long-term 8-year relationship was definitely one of the hardest things I've been through in a while. Without getting too deep into it, the relationship had kind of come to its end naturally, and neither of us were totally happy, and there were just some certain things that weren't healthy about it. And so we actually both agreed it would be best to go our separate ways. Now, although we both knew that that was the right thing to do, it wasn't easy, and it was filled with a lot of pain and a lot of tears. And so the first couple months of 2018 involved a lot of healing for me personally, just to heal the wounds from that breakup and just to do some inner healing work in general. And I must say that going through that definitely did kind of take a little bit of my focus away from my business and my productivity in certain ways, but I just needed that time for myself to get back to normal and to get to a better place. So speaking of better place, after the breakup I moved to a different city, actually back to Wilmington, North Carolina, and this was about the time when 2018 took a turn for me for the better. It led to a series of events, both personal and professional, that I'm just really happy with and really proud of. The first being the release of the new 3rd edition of my book, Give Up Your Glasses for Good, Holistic Eye Care for the 21st Century, which I released in May. Now, I had originally released the book in 2015, and so I had 3 years to work on it, improve it, get it edited, add to it, get feedback from readers and students. And so I ended up adding about 100 pages to it and making it even better. I added in a whole section about the emotional side of the vision healing process, and I really improved on the vision building section, which is specifically talking about using eye charts and reading materials up close to get more clear flashes and more developments in your vision. And so I was just really happy with how it came out. And with the release of the new book came along 2 book tours on the East Coast and the West Coast, which I'll get to in a minute. Because my first book tour, when I originally released it in 2015, was an entire cross-country book tour where I drove all around the country, a massive loop over 3 months. And that was an incredible experience, but I definitely felt like I bit off a little more than I could chew since it was all self-directed. I organized everything myself. I didn't have help from anyone. And so I committed that next time I do a book tour, I'm going to do it a little bit smaller scale, a little more concentrated. So I did an East Coast book tour in May for a month, and then a Pacific Northwest book tour for 2 weeks in October. But before both of those, I actually had another first experience. I had my first paid speaking engagement where someone actually contacted me and seeked out my specialty and covered the cost of travel and lodging for me to go up to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And that was a really great experience because as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, up until that point, I had always been reaching out to people and contacting people, asking if I could do this, if I could do that, trying to set up workshops, classes, talks, seminars. So it was always me reaching out to them, and it felt really good for the opposite to happen, for someone to actually approach me and seek me out online and invite me to go up to their place And I ended up teaching a 4-hour holistic eyesight and insight improvement workshop in Minneapolis. And so hopefully there will be more of those types of things happening in the future. And another special thing about that was that it actually lined up with my birthday weekend. So I got to spend my birthday up in Minneapolis, and I'd never been to that city before, so it was cool to check out the Twin Cities and also reach a new audience up there. And then in less than 2 weeks, I embarked on my East Coast book tour. So I drove from North Carolina all the way up to Maine and back, stopping in many cities along the way to do book signings, vision improvement workshops in Richmond, Virginia, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, New York City, New York, Boston, Massachusetts, Portland, Maine, and then over in the Berkshires in Western Massachusetts, and then in the suburbs outside Philadelphia, actually pretty close to where I was born and raised. So it felt really neat to complete my book tour sort of in my home territory up in Pennsylvania. So that was a wonderful book tour. It felt a lot more manageable to concentrate it on just the East Coast and the Northeast area of the US. And I sold all my books that I brought with me and got to meet a whole new group of people in all these different places. So then I was back in Wilmington down at the beach, and in between my East Coast and West Coast book tours, I had another first. I led my first private individual vision retreat where someone actually flew down to North Carolina from New York, and we organized a custom 7-day vision retreat for him. In other words, he got a hotel room at the beach, and I went and worked with him for 2 hours a day for 7 days in a row. So this was like an intensive, an immersion in the Bates method. It was also sort of like a vacation for him. He took a break from work, he kind of unplugged from his normal routine, and he was able to spend that entire week relaxing on the beach, no glasses, doing the Bates method every single day, and it was really impressive to see the results that he got. He made really good progress in just 1 week. At the beginning, he was reading about 20/60, 20/50 on the eye chart, and by the 7th day, he was consistently seeing the 20/20 line clearly and was even getting glimpses of clarity on the 20/15 and the 20/10 line of the eye chart. And so it really goes to show that if you really commit to this and you do it every single day, and possibly if you're able to do some sort of retreat, or whether it's with an instructor or a personalized, self-directed retreat where you take a little break from work or you do a little workshop immersion or something like that, you can really make some big strides forward if you really dive fully into it. So that's definitely something that I'm going to be offering more of in the future, which I'll talk about in the 2019 part of this video. So I continued working through the entire summer, working with my online students, teaching lessons over Skype, leading my 12-week online vision improvement group course, and planning out not only my West Coast book tour, but also this trip that I'm on. So since I was recently single and felt like I had a new sense of freedom and flexibility, I felt a desire to travel. So I decided to follow through on an old dream of mine to visit Australia and New Zealand. So the trip actually began with 1 month in the Pacific Northwest, because I had been working on the committee to help organize the 2018 Association of Vision Educators Conference, which was happening in Portland, Oregon, at the very end of September. So I flew to Portland and began the trip with the 5-day Vision Educators Conference at a retreat center outside of Portland, Oregon. And I recorded a whole podcast episode that recaps that conference if you want to learn more about what it is and some of the topics that we covered there. It was just a lot of fun, and it's always so nice to get together with the other vision educators and Bates method teachers and holistic optometrists and like-minded people who are teaching the work that I teach as well. I think it felt extra special as well because I almost didn't make it to Portland due to Hurricane Florence. Since I was living in Wilmington, North Carolina this summer, that was actually where Hurricane Florence made landfall like a week before I was set to fly across the country. And Wilmington got hit pretty hard by that massive hurricane, a lot of flooding, a lot of damage. I actually evacuated to Charlotte, but all the highways were flooded, so I was essentially stranded in Charlotte, and my flight was out of Wilmington, and the airport in Wilmington had shut down and was closed, And so I was really nervous and stressing out that I was actually going to miss my flight and I wasn't going to make it to the conference that I had helped organize and set up. But luckily, the day before my flight, one of the highways opened up, the flooding receded a little bit, and I was able to get back to Wilmington and pack up and fly out west. So it was a crazy 24 hours, but by the time I got to the retreat center, I could take a deep breath and I could really just enjoy my time with my community. So after the AVE conference, I went right into my Pacific Northwest book tour. So it was a little bit smaller than the East Coast one. I just hit 4 cities. So I did a vision walk and a workshop in Seattle, Washington. I took the ferry over to Victoria, British Columbia, and did a vision walk there. Took a ferry to Vancouver, did a vision walk and a workshop there, and then came back down to the US and finished up with a vision workshop and a vision walk back in Portland, Oregon. And all those events were really great as well. I was blessed with beautiful sunny weather on all the outdoor vision walk days, which is kind of a gamble in the Pacific Northwest since it's notoriously rainy and cloudy up there. But the weather this past fall up there was just gorgeous. And that was another first for me. I'd never been to Canada before. So it was awesome to visit a new country, the neighbor to the north. And I was just really impressed with British Columbia. It's a beautiful area, beautiful nature. I took a day trip up to Squamish, which is about an hour north of Vancouver, up into the Canadian Rockies, and was just stunned by the natural beauty of the mountains and the lakes up there. And all the Canadians I met were just super friendly, and I really hope to make it back up there in 2019 or sometime pretty soon. So from Portland, I flew to New Zealand. And New Zealand is an incredible country. So many different ecosystems crammed into a small space. You can be at the beach in the morning and in snow-capped mountains in the afternoon. And you can explore really jungly areas, and there's a lot of geothermal activity, a lot of hot springs and geysers, and I was thoroughly impressed with New Zealand. And it was a good combination of traveling around and doing sort of some touristy stuff, but also continuing to work. So I was still working with my online students whenever I could as I was traveling, because I was staying in each place for either several days or a week or two. So I had some openings in my schedule to continue supporting my students even as I was traveling. And so just a couple days ago, I finished up my trip in New Zealand and I flew from Wellington to Brisbane, which is where I am now. So I've got about a week here in Brisbane, a little over a week in Gold Coast, and then about a week each in Melbourne and Sydney. But that brings me to looking forward into the upcoming year of 2019. So after this trip, I'm actually looking forward to getting back to the United States and settling down in a new city. Part of this trip has been to contemplate exactly where I want to set down some roots, because I do want to be a little more stationary to allow me to open up a new physical location. I've got some plans to be opening up a vision center where I can work with people in person, and I can host more vision retreats and classes, and hopefully even get other holistic practitioners involved as well. So at the moment, I'm pretty keen on moving back to Asheville, North Carolina, which is where I originally started my vision practice and lived for several years before moving around the state of North Carolina. I really love the mountains up there in western North Carolina. Asheville's a beautiful city. It's just got an amazing community there, really open to alternatives and health-minded people. It's also just delicious food and amazing outdoor activities. But there are a couple other options that I'm still contemplating. So obviously I'll let you know once I make a decision and get a little more solidified with the next steps on that. But before I get back to North Carolina, I'm really excited to be taking a quick little stopover in San Diego, California. So the flight from Australia to North Carolina is pretty massive, so I'm breaking it up with a couple of days in Southern California. The reason I'm stopping there is because that's where my vision teacher, Dr. Jerry Ann Tabor, lives. And I've never been to San Diego, and ever since I met her and worked with her, I've always wanted to go visit her in person since I did my vision training online at a distance. When I was in Asheville, she was in San Diego. So it's going to be a nice way to break up the trip back home and to go visit her in person. And hopefully I'll even be able to interview her for an upcoming episode of my podcast to introduce you more to her and her wealth of knowledge. So a couple other things I've got planned for 2019. I'm excited to be creating a new online course while I'm here in Australia, and once I get back, I'm collaborating with another vision educator who lives here in Gold Coast named Barry Oxenfeld. We're creating a course specifically about children's vision. It's going to help children essentially from kindergarten all the way through high school to learn how to use their eyes correctly, learn how to prevent vision problems, learn how to maintain the best eye health possible and learn good vision habits, and to preserve healthy vision into adulthood. So while I'm here in Australia, we're going to be working on filming some of the videos and putting some of the materials together. And then once I get back, we're going to be finalizing it and hopefully completing it so it's available in the first part of 2019. So I'm really excited to be working on that with Barry, and I'm excited to see how it turns out, to be able to actually help a younger audience and help parents and teachers who have children either who want to prevent vision problems from developing or potentially even reverse vision problems that have already developed. Another big project that I'm super excited about for 2019 is I'm planning on launching a new podcast. I've been creating podcasts for a couple years now under the Naked Eye podcast, but I'm formulating a new podcast that is going to be more of a collaborative approach with myself and other vision educators. I don't want to give away too much about it just yet, but I'm planning on launching it in July 2019 as a way to commemorate the 100-year anniversary of Dr. Bates's magazines, the Better Eyesight magazines. And I've got a really good feeling about it, that it's going to be a pretty powerful podcast to listen to, and it's really going to help you get a much better understanding of the Bates method as taught by Dr. Bates 100 years ago, with updated commentary and how it applies even still to this day. So in the next couple months, I'll be releasing more information about that, and even before its official launch in July, I'll probably end up releasing an episode or two leading up to the official launch in July, so maybe in April or May. So really excited about that. I'm really looking forward to collaborating with other people in the natural vision community as a way to introduce you to more teachers all around the world, in addition to myself, who are actively teaching the Bates method or variations of natural vision improvement, and really helping to just continue to build this worldwide web of vision educators, and to give you even more confidence that there are thousands and thousands of people all around the world learning this stuff, practicing this stuff, and making it a part of their everyday lives. Because I know that sometimes the vision improvement process can feel a little isolated or a little lonely because it's not entirely well known. So this is just another way for me to try and change that and spread the awareness of this on an even greater scale. Like I said, I want to be offering more personal vision retreats that I host, and also organizing some group vision retreats at retreat centers around the country or in different countries. So if you're not able to come to me, maybe there's a chance I'll be coming to an area near you that you can attend a personal or a group vision retreat to get those really impressive results that are possible when you spend several days or even a full week without glasses doing these practices very regularly. I met a practitioner when I was in Vancouver who we've been talking about the possibility of maybe setting something like that up in Vancouver or in British Columbia somewhere, possibly in 2019, maybe 2020. But whenever these things get organized, I'll definitely be sharing more information. And a really good way to stay in the loop with these events is to hop onto my monthly email newsletter called Eyesight Insights, where I'm always sharing upcoming events and new videos and podcasts and blog posts and helpful resources. You can always just keep checking back at my main website, integraleyesight.com, for upcoming events as well. I've applied to present at the 2019 International Holistic Vision Conference, which is being held in Frankfurt, Germany. So at the moment, I'm planning on going back to Europe next year, either just to attend the conference or maybe even set up another European vision tour like I did in 2017. And I'm also volunteered again to help contribute planning the 2020 Association of Vision Educators Conference, which is going to be in the fall of 2020. And we're hoping to actually have that take place in New York, because that's where Dr. Bates was based. And 2020 is a special year for vision educators, because not only is it 2020, we all are trying to achieve 2020 vision naturally. Maybe 2020 is the year that happens for you. But 2020 is also the 100-year anniversary of Dr. Bates's book, Perfect Sight Without Glasses, which came out in 1920. So the 2020 Vision Conference is going to be a pretty special event, and at the moment we're actually looking at ways to actually open it up to the public, because normally these conferences are for vision educators only, but since it's such a commemorative year, we're playing around with different ways to actually have one day of the conference actually be open to the public, where you'll be able to have access to dozens of the world's best vision educators all in one place to listen to talks or get involved with workshops and meet these people in person. I know that's not in the upcoming year, that's 2 years, but I'm just really excited about it, and since I'm on the planning committee, I'll definitely be keeping you in the loop. Maybe you planning on coming to New York and meeting me there and the other vision teachers there and getting a lot out of it. So like I said, 2018 started pretty rough for me. The first half, but the second half really took off, and although it was extremely painful and difficult at the beginning, it was definitely an incredible learning experience. And honestly, now I kind of feel even more aligned with my purpose, and I'm able to more fully focus on this practice. And so hopefully in 2019, I'll be able to take my business to the next level, be able to create even more content for you, be able to help even more people, because I'll be able to be even more focused on my work. Despite the challenges in the beginning of 2018, the second half of 2018 was just incredible. With my new book coming out, 2 successful book tours, my first speaking engagement, my first personal vision retreat, and getting to visit 3 new countries that I'd never been to before: Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. And so I'm really looking forward to 2019 being even bigger and even better than the second half of 2018 was. So that's enough about me. What about you? To end this video, I'd like to invite you to palm your eyes and go through a short reflection of your 2018 and visualization of your 2019. So I want you to get really comfortable. Either sit down in a chair where you can rest your elbows on a surface, or lie down on your back so you can recline and so that your arms and shoulders don't get too tired. But I want you to rub your hands together really fast so they get nice and warm. You're building the friction and the heat. It's like you're starting a fire with your palms. So when they feel really, really hot, then you're going to get into a comfortable palming position. Now, since I'm not sitting at a desk or a table, I'm going to use this cooler to rest my elbows on. It's a perfect height so that I can remain seated upright and my shoulders won't be slouching, my arms won't get tired, and I'll be fully supported. So either lean up on your desk or your table, or lie down on your back, or rest your elbows on your knees, or ideally you can even find something like this to sit on your lap, some pillows, or some solid object like this to get into a comfortable palming position where you cup your palms over your closed eyes. Make sure the center of your palm is over the center of your eye, not your fingers. It's called palming because you're covering your eyes with your palms. And your hands should be curved so that there's space in between your eyes and your palms. You're not actually touching your eyes with your palms. And make sure you're not blocking your nose so that you can breathe nice and deep and easy. And just tune into the darkness. Let all the light fade from the outside world. You're blocking 100% of the light. And you can open your eyes and look around in a circle to see if there's any light leaking through. And if there is, just make any adjustments you need to with your hands or with your eyebrows or with your cheeks to seal it off and make it pitch black, or at least as dark as you possibly can. And then you can close your eyes, making it even darker. If you want to leave your eyes open, that's fine as well. But just keep in mind that there's nothing to physically see right now. This is more of an inner vision exercise. This is a mental visualization. So I want you to think about 2018. Think about each month, one at a time. What happened in January 2018? What about in February? So go through and take your time and think about each month. What can you remember from that month? Were there any milestones that happened in 2018? How old did you turn in 2018? Think about your birthday. What part of the year did your birthday happen in? Did you do anything to celebrate your birthday? Did you see any friends or family? What about some of the other holidays in 2018? Where were you for New Year's? Or the 4th of July? Or for Halloween? Or Thanksgiving or Christmas? If you're a student, what happened in your school this year? What classes did you take? What new things did you learn about? If you work, what happened in your job? What challenges did you experience this year? What successes did you experience? What was the saddest moment of this past year? What was the happiest moment of this past year? Did you go on any trips? Did you travel at all? Did you see new places? Did you meet any new people? Did you make any new friends? When it comes to your vision, how was 2018 for your eyes? Did you practice the Bates method? How much did you palm your eyes in 2018? Did you experience any improvements in your vision, any clear flashes? So shifting your focus from the past into the future, looking ahead into 2019, maybe you can make a commitment to work on your vision even more. Maybe you can set a goal to try and achieve 20/20 vision by the year 2020. It's got a nice ring to it, right? Maybe you can set an achievable goal, like, I want to palm more in 2019 than I did in 2018. Or I want to spend more time working on improving my vision naturally. Maybe I want to spend more time without glasses in 2019. Beyond your eyesight or your vision, what other goals do you have for 2019? What are you hoping to accomplish or achieve this year? These goals or dreams can be related to your health. They can be related to your school. They can be related to your work, your job. Maybe you want to move to a new city or a new place. Maybe you want to make a change in one of your relationships. Maybe you want to travel and see a new country you have never seen before. Maybe you're not sure what you want to do in 2019, but that's what this exercise is about. It's about getting clearer about your future and beginning to imagine or picture what you want to see in 2019. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? What do you want to experience? Start playing these scenarios out in your mind when you palm your eyes to get clearer on what it looks like before you even experience it. You know, before I came down to New Zealand and Australia, I spent a lot of time palming and visualizing myself going to New Zealand and Australia. I played out the scenario of going to the airport, getting on the plane, flying all the way across the world and arriving in a new place, and going to my Airbnb and visiting places along the way that I wanted to see. And even though I didn't know who I was going to encounter along the way, I imagined myself meeting new people when I was traveling, making new friends, and that happened. So this is such a simple yet powerful practice. Just palming your eyes to give them a nice physical break and rest and relaxation. Meanwhile, keeping your mind active and getting clearer on what you want to see unfold in your future. So I don't want you to only do this once. I want you to do this again tomorrow and the next day. The more you visualize it, the more chances there are that you'll actually physically see it. But for now, you can slowly start to transition out of palming. By now, your hands should feel nice and warm, your eyes should feel nice and hot. So just keep your eyes closed and slowly remove your palms from your eyes, just to give your eyes some time to readjust to the light in the room. And when your eyes feel adjusted to the light again, you can blink them back open and immediately notice how your eyes feel, how your vision looks, how your sight looks, and notice if there's any changes, either physically in how clearly you're seeing, or physically in how your eyes are feeling, or maybe mentally. Maybe you're thinking more clearly, you're feeling less stressed. So keep in mind, every time you palm, you want to check in and see, what did that just do for me? Did that make any kind of shift or transformation, whether physical, mental, emotional? So for me right now, after palming for a few minutes and visualizing, I feel very relaxed. My eyes feel very soft. They feel like they're blinking and shifting very easily and effortlessly. And things seem a little bit brighter and a little bit more colorful, and even just a little bit sharper and clearer than before I palmed, because I had just spent a while with my eyes open and focusing on the camera. And so it was really nice for them to take a little break and to stop focusing so much and to relax and reconnect with that sensation of relaxation. Meanwhile, they were getting a lot of nice blood flow and oxygen and energy. And my mind was calming down because I was giving it something simple to focus on. So if you have any feedback of how you feel immediately after the palming practice and the mental visualization, feel free to share it in the comments of the video. Also, if you have any questions about anything we've talked about today or anything in general, I'm going to be creating some more Q&A videos and podcast episodes throughout 2019. So I'm going to be compiling lists of questions for people, and if you submit a question in the comments or in an email, then there's a chance you might get featured in one of the future videos or podcast episodes. So that's all for now. I just wanted to check in and update you with personally how my 2018 went and what I'm looking forward to in 2019. And I wanted to invite you to have an opportunity to do that yourself while palming. So you're actually turning a Bates method practice of palming into a personalized, customized visualization about your life, about how your 2018 was and what you want to see happen in 2019. So stay tuned for a lot more material in the upcoming year. New videos, new podcast episodes, new courses, and more workshops, talks, and events coming up as well. For more information on all of this stuff, you can find it all on my website, integraleyesight.com. Hop on my email newsletter, Eyesight Insights. Subscribe to the Naked Eye podcast. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram at Integral Eyesight. Get a copy of my book, Give Up Your Glasses for Good, in paperback or ebook. Check out my online course, the Holistic Vision Program, and stay tuned for the new Children's Vision Program coming out in 2019. Keep an eye out for the new Better Eyesight podcast as well. and stay in touch with me. Reach out with your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them in some new Q&A videos and podcasts. So thank you so much for watching, and Happy New Year.